What's up, good people, and welcome to another episode of Keep It Thorough, where we give you the real behind business, health, money, and self development, and introduce engaging concepts to help you perform better in all areas of life. I'm your host, Cedric Lavelle, joined by my counterpart, Mr. E Double. E
E
Double.
double.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
we back at y'all again, man. Episode 92. And the title of this episode is Performing at Your Peak. So, the benefits of high performance in all areas of life. So, really good episode on tap for y'all. And as always, be sure to check out the kit that corresponds with the episode on keepitthorough.com/kits. And be sure to subscribe, podcast with us wherever you podcast. Um, and we appreciate the support thus far. So let's go
All
ahead
the
and kick this
time.
thing off.
Let's get to it, man. So, Kit Nation, here's the real. I believe that inside of everyone, there is this inner champion, right? And in that, when ignited, it can transform our ordinary efforts into extraordinary achievements. I believe everybody has the capacity to do something extraordinary. And I believe that, as we get closer to performing, or if we want to get closer to performing at that champion like level, I believe that we have to nurture habits that enable us to do the simple things extraordinarily well, right? And one thing that I've always admired about teams that perform at a high level, or even people that perform at a high level, is the consistency that they have. Because it's one thing to do something one time, it's another thing when you can consistently do something and you do it without fail. Like every time that somebody sees you or is in opposition to you, plays against you, they know what they're getting. You know what I'm saying? Like when Michael Jordan stepped on the court every night, you knew what you was getting. You know what I mean? When a LeBron steps on the court every night, you know what you're getting. When Tom Brady steps on the field, you know what you're getting. And the one thing that I've always heard about people like that is they never get bored with doing the basic things. You know what I'm saying? Like they do the basic things extraordinarily well. And I think that's imperative when it comes to performing at a peak level. It's really embracing the process of just doing the ordinary things extraordinarily well, because I believe over time those things begin to compound into greater accomplishments and greater achievements. And so when it comes to performing at your peak, what it allows you to do is really just optimize the regular things just so you can maximize the results. You know what I'm saying? And when you can see those things begin to happen, and when you start to understand that that's the capacity that you can function in, I believe that you can translate that into your personal growth, your professional growth, your physical growth, and then ultimately, live up to your fullest potential. You know what I'm saying? And so that I believe is something that we all can do if, we really focus on the behaviors necessary in order to achieve that.
No, absolutely, man. I think this episode ties a lot into the episode that we just did a couple weeks back about procrastination, right? And the connection between the two is during that episode on procrastination, we talked about how, by procrastinating, it blocks you from being able to reach your full potential.
Right.
And, high performers aren't procrastinating. They're getting the job done. They're getting the job done early and often, and, moving on to the next thing and continuing to do that. So when we look back at procrastination and how it affects your personal growth, there's a correlation between the two. So high performance and personal growth. So understanding how to unlock high performance is not about like a secret formula, right? It's not, the secret patty formula or anything like
The
that. Right?
Krabby
It's not-
Patty.
yeah, right. It's not tucked away in a vault somewhere that you can go find and unlock. And this is how you unlock high performance.
Right.
It's not about that. It's about delving deep within yourself and tapping into your true potential. So high performance is intertwined amidst our personal and professional growth. And when we understand that link, we can leverage it to our advantage and, have it work towards unlocking our greatness. So when you're continuing down the path of high performance, it can supercharge your life.
Yeah.
It can push you towards a trajectory of success. And this applies to all areas of your life. Whether you're an entrepreneur, you're an ambitious student, you're a driven work professional, or just somebody who's looking to get the most out of life, a high performance lifestyle can guide you. And so it's very, very, very important to understand the connection between personal growth, personal development, and high performance. When you're consistently working on your personal development, on your personal growth, when you're not procrastinating, when you're embracing the difficult and the challenging times and situations and coming up with creative solutions to solve them, and then even when you don't have, the motivation or the drive, still finding a way to do it anyway.
That resilience.
Right? That resilience. That's what separates, the ordinary from the extraordinary. Those people always find a way, right, to be consistently consistent. And that's one of my sayings from like a long time ago. I got to go pull up my Facebook post and see when I first posted that. But being consistently consistent, regardless of everything else that's going on, they're going to get the job done. They're going to lock in. They're going to focus in. No excuse is a good excuse. And we're going to keep it moving. So high performance and personal growth, very important to understand the connection between the two. Because if you're not putting the time in to become better, if you're not putting the time in to work on your personal development and your personal growth to become a better person, and, perfect, whatever skills or, traits that are needed in, whatever you're trying to pursue, then you're not going to have high performance. You're not going to just wake up one day and, I'm a high performer. It doesn't work that way. So high performance and personal growth, very important to understand the connection between the two.
That's impactful. And one thing that I think about, and it's kind of the natural thing that you do when you think about high performance or high performers, you think about athletes, you think about entertainers, you think about people who do things at this grand level. You know what I'm saying? When you see them doing things and it's things that you can't do, it's like, wow, like that's phenomenal. That's great. And one thing that I kind of just really observe and look at is we have more things in common with people like that than what we know of. And I say that because, obviously we can't run and jump and sing and all these other things.
I'm
like
fast. I don't know about it. I'm fast.
I knew you was probably gonna say something. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be out there like Kevin Hart trying to race against a ex-football player and pull up. God dang it, my hamstring.
I stretch and I Kevin Hart, you see this? I put money down. I dust you.
I mean, you probably would, but I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes your age don't match your activity, and you get out there and you do something. It's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? You should have sat your tail down somewhere. You know what I mean? But we look at those things and we marvel at their greatness, right? And obviously those talents that we see are undeniable, but at the same time, there's these intangibles that a lot of people have and that all the greats have that we also can possess. And I think when it comes to performance, it starts internally, right? It starts with you doing your self-work. It starts with believing. It starts with having this mindset and this determination that whatever it is that you're wanting to pursue, you're going to relentlessly pursue it. You're going to have a determined mindset and a focus to get the job done. Whatever the case may be, you're willing to do whatever it is that it takes, right? And some of those intangibles can be things like mindset, consistency, your ability to learn, right? And so with mindset, when it comes to your peak performance, that's a prerequisite, you know what I'm saying, to performing at a high level, right? And it has to become a lifestyle. It has to be something that you want to do on a day-to-day basis. Like you eat it, you sleep, you live, you breathe. Like mindset and mastering that. We did an episode on mastery some weeks ago when we talked about that, but the mindset is very important, right? And having a growth mindset and a self-belief, and then just the power of positive thinking, that changes the game. That changes everything, right? Because now you start thinking different, and when you start thinking different, you start moving differently. You know what I'm saying? And that's impactful, that's important, and that can be highly influential on the way that you behave and perform in all areas and things that you do in your life. And then when it comes to consistency, everybody knows, man, consistency is the key. Like it's not what you do some of the time, it's what you can do all of the time. How
Exactly.
often can
That's
you
what
put
defines you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. How often can you put in that hard work? How often can you put in that routine day to day and not see the results, but know that you're working towards something? How consistent can you be? How can you develop the habits that could contribute to your overall growth and sharpening your skill set? Because when you look at the greats, they'll do the same basic moves in practice every day, and it becomes second nature to them. And it's so second nature that they're performing at an exceptional level. And when you look at it, it's like, man, he does this extremely well.
Well, when they make it look effortless.
Right. They make it look effortless, not knowing the work that's been put in behind the scenes. And I think that's a lot of times one of those things that people don't really consider. We people can critique athletes all they want about how they perform and what they do, but you got to understand like the work that had to go into getting in the position that they're in and performing at a high level that they're doing it at. And that has to be considered. That has to be, thought about whenever you're looking at people and wanting to make your opinions. You got to understand the work that's been put forth. And then the last thing with those intangibles, like I said, just their ability to learn, right? And so being open-minded and being a lifelong learner, expanding your skill set, enhancing your knowledge base and your understanding, whatever it is that you're wanting to participate in and whatever it is that you're wanting to do. You got to understand it. You got to know it. You got to invest the time to learn more, right? And those things, they're key. You know what I'm saying? They're highly important, but at the same time, like I was saying earlier, these are things that we all possess. We all have the ability to do that, to have those intangibles. And if we can really just have the mindset and have the want and the desire to achieve things at a high level and perform at a high level and do the basic things exceptionally well, then we can see a change in our performance. And then people can look at us and be like, oh, wow, like you do that very well. You know what I'm saying? You start separating and really drawing that distance, really not just between other people, but really between who you are right now and then who you want to be in the future.
No, absolutely, man. So moving on to the next section, which is really about performance and action. So I'm going to carry on with like the sports theme here. So when we think about high performance in sports, obviously certain names come to mind. Mentioned a few earlier. The Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans. I wasn't going to say Kobe Bryant, but since wanted to say LeBron James earlier, I'm going to bring Kobe in
LeBron James.
And then, your Wayne Gretzky's. But one that we going to kind of
You can throw
focus on
Beyonce
here.
in there too, like your entertainers, Beyonce, your Jay-Z.
Well, yeah, but that's not sports though.
You right. I don't know why I said that. Maybe because I'm from Houston, I said that. You know what I'm saying? But carry on.
But yes, but we gonna focus on this particular individual here though for the point, right, of the performance and action, and that's Mr. Michael Phelps. So Michael Phelps is the most successful and celebrated Olympian of all times. He has 28 medals, which 23 of those are gold, right?
That's insane. Man.
So you want to talk about dominating,
yeah,
or high performance. But so he literally exemplifies performance on the biggest stage.
Yeah.
Like you can't
World
have
stage.
a bigger stage than the world stage.
Yeah.
And this isn't like a one time thing. He's done this time
Consistently, time and
and
time again.
time and time again, right? However, though, Phelps didn't become a champion overnight. This didn't just happen. He didn't just wake up one day, say, hey, I'm going to be in the Olympics and then go dominate. It took years of rigorous training, unwavering discipline, a strong mindset, like Said just mentioned, and then consistent performance. Not just being good sometimes, not standing out, occasionally,
Yeah.
but consistently. He's outperforming people, right? And despite facing struggles, because, we all have struggles, and some of Phelps' struggles were made public, So despite facing struggles, his ability to perform at his peak, paired with his resilience, allowed him to dominate repeatedly, So now what made him special, right? Again, to go back to, and let me not say what made, because even though he's not competing, I'm pretty sure he's still top tier, right? So what makes him special, it's not some secret sauce like we talked about earlier, right? It's not, he didn't go find the manual and follow the script, and that's what made him who he was. If it was that simple and easy, everybody would do it, right? But what made him special is not what people witnessed when he was in the pool, right? But also the amount of work he put in preparing when nobody was watching, which alluded to that earlier. It's about all of the tireless, the sleepless nights, the early mornings. I'm sore, still training. I'm sick, still training. I don't feel like it, still training. I'm depressed, still training. I gotta work, still training. Whatever the case may be, there was no obstacle that was going to stop him from, reaching his potential, his full potential. He was going to put the work in. And then when you recognize the importance of the input before we see the outcome, we better understand that achieving extraordinary results doesn't start with the action of performance, but with properly preparing and going through the process to produce great results, right? So they say practice makes perfect, right? So it's that hard work you put in when no one's watching that allows you to perform at extraordinary levels when people are watching. And then that's when they're astounded and they're just so, just taken by surprise and just can't believe how amazing and how great you are. You know why you're great. Your coaches know why you're great. Everybody who was in your corner and seen the process know why you're great because you put the work in, you put the time in. And that's what creates a high performer, the time. And then creating those routines. You have to create routines so that when you're, let me not say routines, you create routines that form habits, right? And then in those times where you don't feel like it or you're dealing with those challenges, that habit comes through for you. Right. Because now it's just kind of like second nature. You're just kind of going through the motions. And, typically when you say going through the motions, that's a bad thing. But in this case, that's not a bad thing. When you've programmed yourself, like Said mentioned about, they make that same move in practice time and time again. There's a reason why they do that. Like, yeah, they may be the best at the move, but they're trying to get even better at it. They're trying to find an advantage or something that they can tweak to just become that much better. Like, okay, if I step this way or lean this way or come at this angle, I can, create a little bit of more separation on my fadeaway to get the jump shot off, right? To, just give me a little bit more space.
Sound like me.
Tweaking.
Sound like me, what I do when I'm on the court.
Said, I don't even think Said could hoop, y'all. So I have no proof of his hooping. Like football, I mean? I know he can do that, but the hooping, I can't validate that.
I can shoot a little bit, play a little defense.
See, that's how you know he can't. That's how you know he can't hoop.
I retired when my homeboy.
He went from it sound like me to I can hoop a little bit. Like,
I can hoop, you know what I'm saying? I retired after one of my homeboys crossed me up, man. Kevin Quinney, if you ever hear this episode, bro, I remember that day. I think that's what made me hang it up, dog.
So Said is not a high performer on the hoops. You know what I'm saying? That's not where he's high performing. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't gonna sit up and say that. You'll get maximal effort though.
Maximum effort.
I'm gonna get out there and hustle.
Which that does count for something still. That does count for something, But again, man, performance in action. The moral of the story here is It's about the work you put in when nobody's watching.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not about just how you perform on the grand stage. And if you don't put in the proper preparation, you're not going to perform well on the grand stage.
Show.
It's going to show. You're going to embarrass yourself. That's going to affect your confidence. You may not want to continue. You know, you're going to mess up other potential opportunities of others who may have, wanted to work with you, because they look at you and, he wasn't ready. She wasn't ready. She ain't putting the time in. No different than when we talk in one of our episodes about networking, when we say when you first get off into a particular industry or field, you don't just go after the top people right away without doing your due diligence, because they're going to look at you like you crazy. You coming in and asking them simple questions that they know you can go Google search in 2 seconds and get an answer for, they're not going to respect you. And that comes across the same way, in sports or other areas where, you're given an opportunity and you don't show up.
Yeah.
And you don't perform well. It's like, okay, they took this for granted. This wasn't, it's going to put a very bad taste in people's mouths, right? And you don't want to be that. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that girl. You don't want to be that boy or, that man or that woman, right? You want to make sure that you're properly prepared, right? That's big, very, very important.
That's super important. And the one thing that I gather from everything that you said, and I know you can attest to this, is that many people don't experience the results that they want because they refuse to put in the work that's required. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
And at the core of all success, the process has to be embraced. Like, there's no way to get around the process of hard work. You know what I'm saying? But once you embrace the process, then you can move towards whatever your vision may be, right? And some of those things that come with that work and embracing of a process will be, one, knowing how to set clear goals. A lot of people struggle with setting clear and realistic goals, but you want to set clear and realistic goals that are achievable yet challenging, right? So don't put yourself in a position where you're just trying to do enough just to get by. Challenge yourself a little bit. You know what I mean? Stretch yourself. Do some things that may make you uncomfortable, because within that discomfort, that's where you can draw your strength. That's where you can see things that you may have possessed or that you do possess that you didn't even know about, right? Like you have to get in those positions where you're kind of stretched and you're feeling out of your element a little bit, because then that forces you to learn and really grow in certain areas so you can be a better version of yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then the next thing would be just develop a growth mindset. And I can't say that enough. Like, you have to be a lifelong learner, but also don't have a fixed mindset. People who perform at a high level have a growth mindset. So they're always looking to learn, and they never feel like they get to a point where there's nothing that they can learn. They embrace every challenge. They embrace every opportunity, and they look at those moments as an opportunity for growth. And then they believe in themselves to develop even more. And just like E was just saying, with people doing these certain moves in practice, they may be doing these moves all the time. They may be the best that do it, that does that move, but they're still probably looking for a way to make it better and learn different things that they can do to make to perfect that move in such a manner where it's undeniable. Like, you can't beat it. No matter what you do, they've seen it all, and they've got a counter to everything. You know what I'm saying? And that just comes with learning and having a growth mindset. And then the next thing is just cultivating positive habits. And E was just talking about that as well too. Like, you have to have good habits. You have to put yourself in a position to where you're doing things in a way where it contributes positively to your physical, your mental, your emotional well-being. It's allowing you to see growth and changes in the areas that matter the most, because when you start to create those habits, then you can become more consistent. And when you be more consistent, those things begin to compound. And when things begin to compound, now you see better results. Now you see change. Now you see growth. Now you see those things that you couldn't obtain in the beginning start to come to fruition. And that can all happen through cultivating positive habits. Then the next thing is just prioritizing your learning. A lot of times people get lazy. You don't want to get lazy. You want to seek ways that's going to stress your knowledge. You're going to seek ways where you can learn new skills. You want to seek ways where you can understand different perspectives. You have to do that. I always say life is about perspective. You can't keep things one-sided. You got to branch out. You got to network. You got to engage with other people. You got to have an open mind. And when you do those things, then you can begin to cultivate new ways of doing things. And then whatever those goals and aspirations that you had, those things start to look more achievable in the process. And then just practicing resilience. Be prepared for setbacks. Things are going to happen. That's inevitable. Learn from your mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And then bounce back stronger. That's all there is to it. A setback is just a setup for a come up. You know what I'm saying? You take a loss, and I always say this: with a winner's mindset, it's never a loss. It's just a lesson. You know what I mean? You take that L that you get, that lesson, you learn from it, and then you grow from it. And when you do that, then you can start to see the fruits of your labor begin to manifest over time. You know what I'm saying?
Man, no, absolutely. And it
that boy preaching today, man. We preaching on here.
Look, and it is almost impossible to truly appreciate a sunny day if you ain't never experienced the rain.
Boy,
you know?
Hey, no, you said that.
It's almost impossible.
Facts.
Like, you're going to take it for granted. Like, oh, this is how it always is. Like, so you don't even, think much about it. But as soon as you experience the rain, then you just got a newfound respect for them sunny days.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So take those lessons, right? Those are the only L's we talk about, lessons, right? Take those lessons as, ammunition and fuel to keep you moving, Just make sure you learn something. You gotta learn something and apply it.
Yeah.
Learn and then apply it.
That's the big right there.
You can learn all the things you want, but if you can't apply it, it's a waste.
You'd be a professional know-it-all. You got to coin that saying, bro. I say that all the time. Like, don't be no professional know-it-all.
All these degrees, whenever I hear that, it reminds me of like Kanye West's album where he was talking about all these, was it The College Dropout?
Probably was.
It was one of his earlier albums, and he was like, all the degrees and the degrees. All right. But so in conclusion, man, high performance is not limited to the gifted or the fortunate. Just like wealth, we talk about wealth. It's not just for, people who, come from wealthy families full of money, right? And high performance is the same way. It's not limited to just professional athletes who are high performers and only their kids are going to be high performers, or,
right.
high performers in other fields, and then they pass it on to their kids. Like, no, it's not how it works. It's available to everyone willing to relentlessly pursue their goal. Relentlessly pursue their goal. You got to have that unwavering, that unwavering belief in self and put the work in. You got to put the work in. By unlocking your inner beast and striving to operate consistently at your peak, you can elevate to new heights. And now, very important piece here. By unlocking your inner beast and striving to operate consistently at your peak. Striving and actually operating at your peak are two different things.
Yeah.
Right? Make sure that you're always putting your best foot forward. Some days you may fall short, but you gave your all.
Yeah.
You should be able to live with that.
Man, that's
right.
That's what's up. Yeah.
You should be able to know, like, okay, look, today just wasn't it, but I gave my all. I gave all that I had. I'll get them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that has to be your mindset and keep moving. So again, by unlocking your inner beast and striving to operate consistently at your peak, you can elevate the new levels. And then the journey towards high performance is challenging. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it, but it's extremely rewarding. And embarking on it can open up doors you never dreamed possible. And I tell you this, if I took a look back, at 12, 13, 14-year-old me and kind of see where I am now, this stuff is all a dream, man. Like real talk, and I'm pretty sure a lot of my homies can say the same thing, right? Like with how we came up and how life is now, and then a lot of the things that we got going, right? Like me and said, right? Like, who am I? Who are we to be having a podcast? You know what I'm saying? Like, just certain things, right? But like, no, we do got a podcast, and this is a very good podcast with for high performers, overachievers, people looking to take things to the next level in business, health, money, self-development. And, we provide great content, and we know that. This ain't what are we doing? Like, no, we know exactly what we're doing.
What it is. Oh, yeah.
And that's how you have to move in life and understand. And obviously you make pivots and adjustments, but, You always got to be striving towards that, and keeping that unwavering belief in yourself and remove doubt. Being consistently consistent, as I mentioned, even when you're enduring challenging times and lack motivation, and then create those habits that will keep you on track and follow through. And it will pay off in the long run, and you'll look back and realize that it was all worth it.
Yeah.
So you got anything you want to add, Sid?
Nah, man, I'm ready to go take over the world, dog. You know what I'm saying? Let's go get it.
For real talk. What we doing today, Pinky?
You know what I'm saying? What we going? Anything we do every day.
Hey, but as always, man, we greatly appreciate everybody who tunes in, who listens, who shares, sends comments, all of that. We greatly appreciate y'all. This platform is going to be something huge,
Oh yeah.
And it's growing. We're seeing the growth. We're going to continue to put our all into it. And I'm gonna repeat, from like earlier in the episode, be sure to check out the kit that corresponds with the episode, keepitthorough.com/kits. And you know how it go.
Yes, sir.
Nothing else. Keep it thorough. And we'll holler at y'all next time.
Till next time, Kid Nation.
Deuces.